Welcome into this special edition of the Movie Geek Podcast. My name is George T. As always, I am your host, and this is an honor for me. This is my first ever guest on the show. I have been talking to her for a while. I've been a follower of hers. I think she is the epitome of talent. I think she is very, very talented. I've linked her stuff down in my YouTube channel, and I think you guys will enjoy this interview, or at least I hope you will. But I was hoping that we were going to be able to get video, but unfortunately, as a boomer, apparently, I did not get to record it, or it was my computer. As we have come to find out, this YouTube thing has barely worked out so far for the podcast. I am working on that. Again, this is a solo effort. So, again, I'm not even sure how, we're getting through this, but I am thankful for all of you that listen and download and do whatever. But I believe this is going to be a very special one. My first guest is Jennifer Nangle, who is an indie queen star. I will be listing off the multitude of things that she's done and awards and everything else. And she is a local to Boston. She grew up on the North Shore. I think you're going to really enjoy this episode. So here it comes. Are you ready? Are you ready? For a podcast hosted by George T.
Who the hell are you?
I am the movie geek.
Who are you?
I am the movie geek.
Oh, you are such a geek.
Thank you.
And now, on with the show.
It's time! It's showtime. It's showtime. And here we go.
So, again, this is my first one. So I'm grateful for you to do this. So.
Oh yeah, let's have some fun.
All
Absolutely.
right, let's see here. Hopefully it's recording. So again, you're my guinea pig. So welcome.
Here we go.
All right. So. All right. So I have your DVD right here.
Oh.
Yep. Thank you.
Prepared.
Yeah. No. Absolutely. So, all right. Let's get started. So I'm recording this, and then I will send you out when I'm going to actually post this and whatnot. So,
Okay.
Jennifer, how did you say your last name?
Nangle.
Nangle.
Nangle with an N.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I've heard that name a lot this week because of the Karen Reed trial. So I wanted to make sure I said it right.
There's a Nangle in the Karen Reed trial?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard it a few times in closing arguments today. Crazy. I don't know how the jury can find her guilty, but we'll see. We'll see. It's our lovely
We will see.
justice system. So, obviously, you were a local girl from the North Shore. And
North Shore.
Yeah.
Born and bred.
All right. And you started acting at 10. What prompted you to start acting? Was there a particular movie that got you, or show, or actor or actress?
Yeah, so I had always done dance, always like performance wise. I loved dressing up in costumes and playing like little different characters around the house. And when I was 10, my mom took me to a stage production of The Sound of Music, where our family friends played all the little kids in the family. I don't remember the last name. That's bad. But they played all the little kids, and I was.
The Sound of Music would be the Von Tramps.
Yes, the Von Tramps. That's why I have you here, George. Yes.
I know. I like the amount of information in my head.
Knowledge.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Good. This would be good for this interview.
Right?
Yes, I may need it.
So.
But I saw them, walking around and hitting marks and doing dances and singing, and I just thought that was the coolest thing that they were doing this. So immediately after the show, I told my mom I wanted to do this, and here I am.
All right. So, and then you went on to get your BFA for theater studies at Niagara University.
Correct.
And all right. So yeah, I looked up a lot of stuff on you. I've been following you since 2018. You were actually a recommended from Macabre Mali.
Oh, Malia.
Malia. Sorry.
Yes.
The one thing you will know is I butcher the English language like crazy and names.
Well, the only reason I know her name is because I did a show with her. She was the makeup artist on a show I did.
Right.
So.
Yes. No. Right. And I think that's where I saw your stuff, and then I was like, oh, let me follow you, and been following ever since.
Hope that's a good thing.
Well, it has been because again, I've really liked a lot of your stuff. I'll get into all that stuff as we go. Like your credits, acting credits, 98 acting credits.
Oh man.
Yeah, well, according to the IMDb website.
IMDb's.
Yeah, I know. 24 writing credits, 33 producing, 18 directing. And then you won 39 awards. Like that's awesome. Like, and that night in 2019, you won 10 awards for that. And I really loved that. That really got me hooked into a lot of your stuff. Because again, starting to follow you around 2018, and then you did the thing for that night, and it was really good. It was really good. So,
Thank you.
So because of your creative side and stuff, what do you like more? Is it the acting? Is it the writing, directing? Like, what do you like more about it?
I am a true actress in the bottom of my soul. That's my joy. That's my love. That's the only thing I've ever wanted to do in life was to act. But coming out to Los Angeles, it's very competitive. Most of the time, a lot of people look like you, especially when you go to auditions. There's one role, and you're looking around the room, and there's like 300 other women that look exactly like you, and only one of those people are going to get the part, the job. And
Right.
so I learned very, very quickly that I was also typecast in a certain way, which I would say would be accurate. But playing the best friend, playing the young mom really isn't that much fun to play. No offense to y'all out there that are those things. But it's not really always super fun to play. So I learned pretty quickly that to do what I wanted to do, play whatever characters I wanted to play, I really needed to write and produce and now direct those projects, those characters, those ideas.
Right. Well, yeah. And then you created the Malavia, Queen of
Malvolia.
Yep, Screams. That has also won 9 awards over the years. I mean, you've had 7 seasons, or roughly 7 seasons.
Technically 6. We're working on 6.5 this year because I only did a Halloween special last year because I was so enveloped in body count. So hopefully we'll change it this year.
Right. Yeah. Which again, I showed you the DVD, and
Yes.
I've been following your indigos and stuff, and I'm really trying to help because again, you are very talented, very talented, and very creative. How does that process go? Like, you said you were typecast for certain things, but you really wanted to do your own stuff. So where do you get your ideas and creative flow from?
I get it from true life. I get it from things that I'm dealing with or situations that I'm in, or true crime. That's where I get a lot of it from.
Well, right. Like the murders, only murders in our building, which is an hilarious show. Talking about what was going on and so on. I've written a few scripts and I've had people read them and they're like, "Are those us? Like those characters us?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's exactly who it is." Like, and then I had one guy look at it one time and he was like, "These characters are a little like not believable." I'm like, "No, these are my friends. Like literally, this is how we interact." And
This is true life,
he's like,
man.
I don't know about that. And I'm like, whatever. Like, you know what I mean? So, as my girlfriend Ashley says all the time, your brain just constantly is creating things and stories and everything. And this is why I started the podcast, was because she's like, you just watch so many movies and you just talk about them all the time. Like, why don't you just talk on a podcast? I'm like, I don't even know what a podcast is. All right. Like, I honestly didn't. So, I started doing research on it and I was like, all right, fine. And so the rest is now history. Now I think,
And here we are.
right. Yep. 18 episodes now. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I've gotten this far. Like it's bizarre. And then like, I think it was a couple weeks ago, I had just started up on my, my YouTube channel, which was really started for the paranormal stuff. And that was started by my son and her because they're huge YouTube fans. And they were like, "Oh, you should see this one, that one, that one." And I was like, I don't know if I'd ever want to put my stuff up there. And then my son's like, "Well, why not? Everybody else is doing it." And I'm like, all right, fine. So, which I've got a lot of stuff from last year. I did like 5 ghost hunts last year. I'm trying to do a few more to this year, but who knows? Like, life is complicated now with,
Yes, it is.
I'm on leave right now. My girlfriend and I have a 5-month-old now. So I have I have a lot of dynamics now. I have a 15-year-old and now I have a 5-month-old. And so things got a lot crazier in here. So
Best of luck.
yes, yeah. Well, and so far it's so good,
Good.
So
Good.
a lot of non-similarities between the two of them. When my 15-year-old was younger, he never slept. This one sleeps a little bit, but I think he takes after his mother. So, where did you get the idea for the Scream Queen?
Miss Malvolio?
Yes.
I was I started to write a treatment for a very independent film franchise, which is based on a female character. And I wanted to make her a little bit different. I wanted to, make her a badass. I wanted her to win in the end. And the treatment got rejected. But one of the producers had said to me that I had something here and that I should really, keep working at it and create something around it. And so a couple weeks later, I went to Son of Monster Palooza where they were celebrating Elvira. And I was so taken aback by how popular she still was and how devoted
she
fans
definitely
are.
is. She was up here at Rhode Island Comic Con and she was still very big. So I got to meet her and it was great to get to meet her. So
Yeah, and I super stand corrected because she's been popular consistently. But
Well-
like when I was growing up, I wasn't allowed to watch her because she was a little risque. I could watch, Tales from the Crypt,
Right.
but Elvira was a big no-no. So,
which is weird, but okay.
Yeah. That's my family for you. Boston Catholic, all that kind of stuff. But so, I was like, wow, there's really something here. There really aren't any horror hosts that people talk about anymore. Like, oh my gosh, I could write this found footage based on this horror hostess, and I could then just do this found footage film. And after doing a ton of research, I stand super corrected because there are still horror hosts to this day. They're still super popular. I've been getting to know a lot of them, throughout the years. And so that was a huge lesson to learn, and amazing that this craft is still going on. But the idea was to just write this movie and then be done with it. But then I was kind of going through like a Blair Witch Project moment, and I was like, I want to make it real. I want maybe to have like a fan base. So then when I saw the movie, like people already know like this character exists or whatever. So I was like, let's just do a 6-episode web series and, get this character out there and we could be done with it. And then I could make the movie and that's it. Well, once I displayed the picture that we came up with, the iconic picture of Malvolia, it just was all downhill. And here we are almost 7 seasons later doing what we're doing. So that's how Malvolia was born.
Nice. So obviously you're big into horror. So I've got to ask your like top 5 horror movies, franchise, TV shows. Like, what is your go-tos for horror?
It's always going to be Psycho, The Ruins, love The Ruins, Friday the 13th, original. Other 2. Oh my gosh, because I'm always asked top 3, top 5.
I know, I'm so different in that regard. Like, I've always said, like, everybody's got a top 25. I want to make a top 10. And then, like, half the time I'm like, Jesus Christ, I can't make a top 10.
Yeah, like, what are they? Does Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, count? It's kind of horror, right? Vampires?
Yes. Well,
okay.
More comedy, horror. Yeah, all right, that works, yeah. Although it's kind of an interesting... That's a very interesting one. No, it's an interesting one to me.
I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer growing up. The movie,
yeah.
The TV show came out when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Dating myself, but it was high school.
Don't worry, you're dating. You're right about my wheelhouse too. So,
all right, good.
Right. But yeah, that's interesting. Buffy, yeah, Christy Swanson. Pee Wee Herman was in it. Like, oh my god, yep. That's crazy.
David Arquette.
Yes, David Arquette. Yeah. What a movie.
And then I would say my last one, if this will also be a hall pass, is Clue.
No.
Count?
Well.
No.
I don't think it counts as a horror, but I loved Clue. I absolutely loved it. All right, so you know what? Now I want to know, what ending do you think actually worked? Like, what ending worked? Because I was going to a Comic-Con, and Tim Curry was going to be there, but he had a stroke right before it, and I'm like, shit, I really wanted to meet him. They had us like have him like take pictures with us, and I'm like, this is kind of awkward, like, but because he just had a stroke. The guy's like, I'm like, ugh. But I've always wanted, like, I've always talked to people, and I'm like, which ending do you think? And they're like, this, that, and the other. So I want to know which one you think.
I think the very final one.
Really? Nah, see.
Very, very final one. No, which one is yours?
2. Number 2, where Miss Peacock did it all. It just sets up perfectly because she was downstairs the whole time.
True.
It just sets up completely, but it's always fascinating to hear, examples why this one or that one, because 1 kind of doesn't fit. 3 might, but I always thought it was 2 because I'm like, she was always on the ground floor. She was never up there and whatnot, and so I don't know. And she was not in the kitchen. Like, if you notice, like, she's not in the kitchen when the cook was found. And I'm like, okay, that one right there, boom. So, and I've seen it a million times, so I'm like, There are some movies that I just, and I mentioned on my podcast last week, They're in development and doing a Clue reboot.
I know.
And a TV show. So I'm kind of curious about it, but at the same time, I'm like, you really need to start rebooting certain things. Like, they need to let the original stuff just be the original stuff. And I get it, Hollywood loves to reboot things. Like, I read also the other day, Spaceballs is one of my all-time favorite movies. And I guess Josh Gad, and Mel Brooks are teaming up this time to do a sequel. And I'm like, I don't know how to feel, but at the same time, I'm like, I'm kind of excited. But there are some things in Hollywood, like, they just reboot things over and over and over again, and it's like, why do we do this?
They do that because it's safe. They already know that there's a fan base for it, and they think that they will just automatically get their money back, if not more. Whereas they're really boring the audiences, and original material is really the number one thing that should be put out there. Right. I think.
I totally agree, because again, there's some originality in certain things, but at the same time, I reviewed a couple movies last week. Like, everybody's been talking about Under Paris, from Netflix. It's a French film, and literally, it's literally like Jaws Revenge. Like, basically, you take that movie and you put it in France, and I'm like, everybody's talking about this movie. Why? And I'm like, it's terrible. And besides the fact that it's dubbed instead of reading subtitles, and I'm like, could we just read the subtitles? Because it would be a whole lot. It would have been a whole lot more authentic. Interesting, right? It would have been authentic, but it was basically just take Jaws Revenge, which I still don't know why. Well, maybe Michael Caine was really desperate for money to do that movie, because that was a money grab and a half. And you just put it in France, and they're like, and everybody's talking about it, being number one, and I'm like, this movie's terrible. I don't know. I just don't know. There's another one on Netflix, and Netflix has been doing this a lot with, original films and whatnot. And they just had a movie called Inheritance. And the sub thing, again, it's another French film. It says, just like Knives Out. If you like Knives Out, this is a perfect movie for you. It's terrible. I'm like, it's terrible. It's dubbed. It's not, you're not reading subtitles, but the whole premise of the movie is like Knives Out, but it's completely just not good. Like,
interesting.
Yeah. So, it's like you keep seeing these reboots and everything else, and you're like, where's the original stuff? I love Marvel movies. Well, I love movies in general, obviously, but Marvel movies, and they keep talking about, rebooting like Fantastic Four, and I'm like, we've already done this 4 times. Why are we doing this again? I'm like, it's not getting any better. So, I mean, maybe it will, because, now they have, Pedro Pascal, and they have, Joseph Quinn, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe, because obviously this weekend, huge weekend, A Quiet Place, day 1 is coming out. That looks good. That does look good. I don't know if you like the original A Quiet Place, but I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought it was really neat, and to see what's going to happen with the first day looks really good. So all right. So when you're not working with horror, like, what other genres would you want to work in? Like, if you were to branch out and say, all right, I want to build another character, would it be like a drama, a comedy? Like, what would be another, venture of yours?
I'm always into dark thriller. I would then move to comedy, and then I would move to action, and then I would move to drama. I think drama is like the most boring.
Really?
So boring. Everybody loves it, but it's just like, as an actor, as a producer, as a director, it's very one tone for me. I need a little bit more zhuzh. So
right.
yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, dramas, you got to get into it, as a viewer too. I was watching one the other day, and I'm like, man, this is slow. I'm like, where's I gotta be in that frame for it.
For sure.
Comedy though is tough though nowadays anyway, because obviously cancel culture and everything else. So I had a friend of mine who was a comedian for a while, doing stand-ups. So but yeah, comedy's got to be tough, I would assume.
I wouldn't write it. I would have somebody else write it, and then I would execute it, because writing it is so tough. When I first came out here, I did a sitcom class, an acting sitcom class, from like beginning, like auditioning, all the way up to actually like shooting it, 3-camera shoot, and it is so scientific. It's not organic at all. It is so scientific, because you got to set up the joke, and then you gotta set up the joke, and then you gotta set up the joke, that I'm just like, this isn't fun. This is not fun. It's so
well, and everybody's sense of humor is different. So
exactly.
You could have the sarcastic asshole kind of person like myself, and you've got another one who's just like, wait, that wasn't funny. No, it was funny. You just don't. We're not clicking.
Or it just goes over somebody's head.
Right.
They just are not with you at all.
Yeah. That's why good comedy movies, buddy movies work. There's a lot of them that you see, and they're just like, it's just not good. Like, I remember, with Men in Black, I use this example all the time. Like, Men in Black, Tommy Lee Jones and Will Smith just worked together. And then you got Wild Wild West, where he and Kevin Kline it didn't work. They just were not on the same page, and just didn't feel right. So, but yeah, comedy is probably very, very tough to write as well, because obviously somebody in the room's not going to feel like a joke is funny, unless they probably see it in reality, because sometimes that I see when I've met a few of the comedy actors, they kind of say the same thing. It's like, you can be physical comedy, and it draws a laugh, whereas you could just throw a one-liner every once in a while, and that gets a laugh. But it just depends on timing and whatnot. So, all right. So what are you working on now? Or what are your projects looking like now for the future?
So right now I'm trying to develop another season of Malvolia. We're going to start shooting very, very soon. I'm still kind of keeping with the same layout as far as like hosting a horror film, and then the same, like, couple days later releasing a skit of some kind. I'm also in development of the Halloween special, because I'm really, really trying. I've been suffering immensely from writer's block for like 2 years now. Like, putting body count together just really sucked everything out of me, I feel. And so I've been kind of repairing myself and trying to get back into the mojo of creating, very short films, very short skits and stuff like that. It's been hard. It's been really hard to just be creative and disciplined and sit down and write. This is what I'm going to write, without just staring at a blank screen for hours. So slowly but surely I'm doing another season of Malvolia. And then I do have a feature film script that I want to start raising money. But the daunting task of doing another Indiegogo is just looming over. I mean, the script is ready to go. The cast is ready to go. Like, we are all ready to go. But I need to raise $10,000 to actually pull this movie off. And it's just so daunting doing these crowd funds, where you're just putting like 1,000% into posting and trying to, get the attention of people, or just, have people just willingly open up their wallet. I know how difficult it is nowadays in the economy that we are in, that it's really tough.
Mm.
So I've just been kind of like putting it off and putting it off, and I'm just gonna really have to just settle down and just do it because the script is really amazing. Yeah.
Cool. Um, would you ever consider coming back to Massachusetts and doing filming here? I was at Boston Comic Con last week, not last weekend, but 2 weekends ago. I was in one of the panels there about them, Massachusetts Film Association, and they're talking about trying to build something here. Obviously, with a lot of movies being filmed up here now. Actually, The Walking Dead was filmed literally right next to my son's high school, for Dead City 2. I did apply to be an extra on the show because I'm like, I literally right down the street. Didn't hear back from him,
Yeah.
um,
Um,
but would you ever consider coming back here? Now, I know the weather is so much nicer in LA than it is out here.
I mean, I would love to come back to Massachusetts. People that I've worked with in the past, we've talked about going to Salem and shooting. I mean, Salem is such a big deal. Like you don't realize, like I grew up right next to it, kind of like it's Salem, whatever. But so many people are like, it's Salem.
Well,
So a lot of
yeah, I mean, my girlfriend and I are like, oh, it's October. Don't go anywhere near Salem. Because, again,
don't go
it's
anywhere near
right.
headaches.
Because you know
Hmm.
what? For the other 11 months of the year, it's fine.
Yeah, exactly,
For
exactly.
the other 11
So
months, it's okay. But you don't want to go anywhere near Salem in
and like
October.
people just are like obsessed with Salem, and I'm just kind of like, it's whatever.
Right. Because
But
we're from here. So it's like, oh,
yeah.
yeah, hey. Like, it's Salem.
Ooh.
Ooh.
But so we've talked about filming in Salem. We've also been in talks for a very long time trying to do Malvolia Takes Manhattan, going to New
Oh,
York.
nice.
I would love to do something on the East Coast. It would just have to be like, perfect for
Mm.
it,
Hmm.
because I want to take a lot of my LA people out there to shoot it, and that's very costly to even do that too. So,
I can only imagine. Speaking
yeah.
of your crew, did you meet them in college or did you meet them when you got out to LA?
Oh, when I came out to LA, I went to college in Western New York,
Hmm.
Niagara University, and so I did the theater scene there for 2 years after I graduated. And the goal was to go to New York City. I wanted to do Broadway so badly, but 9/11 happened, and that summer that I graduated, a lot of the actors came back to Buffalo to like do Shakespeare in the Park that I was doing because there really wasn't any jobs going on because the city just, saw such trauma. So I decided instead of going to New York that I was just going to come out to LA and try to get on a sitcom and, make my
Mm.
living that way. It was going to be so easy.
Mm.
And
And
slowly
of
but
course, and
surely,
of course, it's not easy.
no,
It's never
it's
been easy.
so so not easy. And I also learned quickly that if you want to do what you want to do, you have to do it yourself, which we talked about earlier.
Right.
And so I never wanted to produce. I never wanted to direct. I never wanted to write. I never wanted to edit. I never wanted to do any of that stuff. I just wanted to act. I wanted to act in other people's projects. And that has just never been the universe, like my way. Like the universe has never granted that to me. I've always had to do 8,000 jobs and create the projects and do the projects that I want. And so slowly but surely, I built a crew out here and I met everybody out here. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I noticed they were in most of your films and everything else. I didn't know if you had built those relationships there in New York and brought, and they just kind of came into LA or, you guys met, out there. So that's
Yeah.
cool.
All out here. Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. And Body Count won 3 awards. So, congratulations on that.
Thank
It was good. I saw the digital copy and then I got your.
you.
Oh,
We actually won a bunch more. I just haven't uploaded them to IMDb yet.
oh, well, okay then. See? Well, every once in a while the whatever is wrong, so
Yes, yes,
but
yes, yes.
but uh, but it's been great to talk to you. Again, I've been following you for a while now. And when you said you wanted to volunteer to come on, I was like, oh my God, like I finally, because it was interesting because I started I started, looking into podcasts, like what, they're like, look in your genre field. So I started looking around, and there's a radio host in town that does a podcast. So I had talked to him about it, and I'm like, so how, I mean, I know you have a radio platform, because he does his radio show during the week, and then he does his podcast on the weekends. And I'm like, how do you get these people to come on? Obviously, your contacts are a little bit different than obviously mine would. And I'm like, how would you get involved in that? And he's like, you know what? If you really want to, just like, I know it's crazy, but like send DMs, whatnot. I mean, they may just ignore it and whatnot, but at least you're getting it out there. When I went to Fan Expo, I had applied for media credentials because I was like, oh, I would really want to interview a few people. But when the media credentials came in, they also said, well, we have to set up those interviews for you. And I was like, I'm guessing this isn't going to work. You know what I mean? Like, I was really hoping that was going to happen. So I was like, well, I'm like, I got to figure this out. And then I was like, oh, good. I got one person. And I really think, and I'm like, well, if I can gain some traction, Rhode Island's in November. And they've already listed a bunch of people for Rhode Island. It looks like an all Scream like reunion type thing up there. And I've met most of them already, but there's some that I haven't met yet. And I'm like, my son George is crazy about Scream. He got to meet Matthew Lillard and Skeet Ulrich. Matthew Lillard is crazy. He is a nut. But they did a panel together, and he was talking about, actors act, and, we're grateful that you guys are here and whatnot. And, he's like, sometimes we take roles and sometimes they're good, sometimes they're not. But we have to take what we got. And then he's like, if you're an actor or you're an artist, and my son really likes art, and sometimes he just stops art because he just doesn't, he doesn't think it's good. And I wanted him to listen to that, and it was really powerful. And of course, Matthew Lillard got cast in Five Nights at Freddy's, which one of my son's favorite games, and he's like, oh my god, we gotta go see it. So okay, last question before we go. One actor or one actress that you would, if somebody called and was like, I want you to work alongside one actor and one actress, who would it be and why?
Well, hands down, Meryl Streep, because I think that's just a given. She's just a genius in everything that she does. I think she would challenge me as an actor as well, too. So, Meryl Streep. And then the actor would hands down be Robert De Niro, because I think it's...
I guess it was like, all of a sudden it was like, your time is up. And I'm like, what?
Well,
I'm like, I didn't even...
an hour.
Right. I'm like, geez, again, with, knowing, nothing about really doing this. So I'm like, oh, great. So you were saying Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro, because again, I feel like it's self-explanatory. It's Robert De Niro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, two really good actors. I mean, Meryl Streep and Robert De Niro have had some amazing stuff. So,
yeah.
So, any movies that you're looking forward to coming out soon, or just you're just not into the whole movie scene otherwise? You're just working and then creating and just having fun, or what?
Yeah, no. The movies that I was really, really looking forward to, that I really, really wanted to see, have already come out. I was like really waiting on Priscilla, which was kind of, and then the Iron Claw. I could not wait to see the Iron Claw, and I'm shocked that they weren't up for award season. I am shocked that Zac Efron didn't get an award. I'm shocked that whole crew didn't get an award, because that movie was just in awe. I was just in awe. Like, they put their bodies through it. They put everything through it, emotionally, mentally, physically, and I'm surprised it didn't rack up anything. I'm surprised it didn't even get a SAG Award nomination.
Yeah, no, it was a good movie. So, but
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
thank you for doing this. I I'm honored that you would come on and be my first guest. So we'll see if this actual video thing worked. If not, then it'll just be an audio. So
Okay, perfect.
and I will
That
let
sounds
you know. I'll let you know when I'm done editing it, if it's video. And then we can post it on our socials. So, all right.
Perfect.
Well, thank you, Jen.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
All right.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Talk to you soon.
All
Bye.
right. Bye.
Well, that was an exciting first interview, and believe me, I could have talked forever with her. I think she's really, really talented, and I think if and when she gets that project started and looking for money, I think anybody who's listening to this who enjoyed the interview, help her out with that. And I'll probably link it to my socials when that happens. Although Buffy the Vampire Slayer, I'm not sure about, but Clue, when she said Clue, I definitely even became more of a bigger fan. That's awesome. When she does launch that project, I will definitely want to try to get her and maybe her entire crewmates on. We'll talk about that in another time. But so I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this very special and first interview that I've conducted. Hopefully there'll be more on the way with maybe some other people, just throwing shots out there, and who knows. But I want to thank Jennifer. Honestly, it was an honor, and I hope you all enjoyed it. So like, comment, subscribe, whatever you guys do, as always. And thank you, and I will see you at the movies.
See you next time. Bye.
Waiting for you. Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Hasta la vista, baby.
That's all, folks.